So welcome to another webinar, this time on clarifying your literature review, search area and finding information. Just some basic housekeeping. This webinar is recorded and we'll make available both recording and the slide deck after the session. So no worries to take very long notes because exactly everything will be available afterwards. You are more than welcome to ask your questions as they come up. You know, like don't be afraid exactly of unmuting yourself.
You have to. Okay, that's the idea behind it.
So you can either unmute yourself or post them at the chat room, and I'm happy to read them for you. After the session, and for those that exactly have one question that they do not want to have recorded, we switch the recording off, so you also have the room to exactly ask more private or more sensitive questions if you wish to do so at the end of this session. Don't be shy. We are here exactly to answer, not only to discuss the topic that is the focus for this webinar, but also to answer your questions. Could you possibly change the slide, Bostjan?
Sure.
Okay, so just to shortly exactly today, after this session, we do expect you to be able to find and to work towards an efficient approach to your literature review, both with the sources, with your keywords. Also very important is exactly identify the novelty and uniqueness of your research topic, but we'll come back to that later during this session. Today, Bostjan, can you move again, please? Today we have Professor Dr. Bostjan Gomiscek, a professor in the quality management area, correct, Bostjan? Yep. Also very experienced supervisor, took leading roles also in doctoral programs. So it's one of our mentors, and you'll be hosting today's session. And exactly at the other side is not Andreas Meinersner, I'm Anna Faria, but exactly. Andreas couldn't make it today, so I'm taking over his don't cross him out. Next one, please. Could you? Okay. After this webinar, we typically exactly offer the opportunity for you to dive deeper into the topic. Yeah. So we have workshops available both as a group, half-a-day sessions, as well as one-on-ones. The next one we have scheduled as a half-day one group is 29th of April. It will exactly be hosted by Professor Dr. Bostjan. It's a continuation basically of this webinar. If you would like to have a specific date, or if you would like to go for a one-on-one, please just drop us an email at contact@doctoratehub.com, and we are more than happy to come back to you. And I think now I hand over the session to you and mute myself, so enjoy the session.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to all who are participating today, and I'm saying not just listening, but participating, as Jack has said, is contributing actually to the session. So really just grab your mic or write into the chat. I'm more than happy actually that you come with your questions and we are trying to explain them, answer them the minute actually you have the idea. Okay, that's the most important part. Do not wait till the end, but you can wait till the end of the presentation as well. It's really up to you. So let us start with some introductory questions. What do we mean under that? So what I will be trying to explain today for you is actually that you will be kind of understanding how you can start preparing your literature review, because this is one of the most important parts at the beginning of your PhD journey, because you really have to understand, you have to find actually a good research area, a good area where you can really actually contribute something, find something what is new, what hasn't been done yet. And that is quite a challenge, especially in the beginning, because you are mostly new in this area and you would like actually to prepare a good literature review, which will be then basis for all, let's say, the research you will be doing within your PhD. So definitely it is quite important that you find your research area and that you find your research topic, or even more than just one topic. And the next thing, which is really important, is actually that you will be kind of developing your keywords, because based on the keywords, we will be then able to develop most probably a good strategy how to find the sources you need in order to be able to perform well in your literature. Because once again, literature review is not just, how should I say, something you have to do, but I guess all of you, while you're reading, are developing your ideas and understanding actually your topic better and better. And that's why it is really important that you find actually the proper resources which will help you and which will kind of guide you through your thesis, because you need to know your literature, not just during the, let's say, preparation of your proposal or just to write the literature review chapter, but you need it actually even after, maybe even more, in order to be able to interpret your results, and definitely in order to discuss your results, and in the end to suggest your recommendations in the conclusion chapter. So literature review and finding proper literature sources is really actually an important topic. So yeah, not to talk too much. I don't want to talk too much actually. Let us continue then. So you have to know, you have to think about the research area and research topic, and all of you have done that. That's definitely the first stage. And after that, we'll be slowly trying to develop our keywords and some other things. And what we'll be, as I said, talking about today is, and helping you how to prepare your literature review, and especially how to search actually for the sources you will be, or you might be actually using in order to prepare your literature review. And as we have said, one of the really important parts of each of the PhDs is whether the topic, whether the area, whether actually your contribution will be finally novel and unique. And that is in a way really strongly linked to that what we are trying to discuss today, because we will be based mostly on our keywords, able to see whether you are preparing something what might be really useful for a broader audience. And don't forget, majority of you will be at one point probably even publishing your thesis and results from the thesis, and that is another area which will be kind of then helping you in order to see whether you are contributing to the general knowledge, let's say, in the area of your PhD. So these are the things we'll be trying to discuss today. And it's always, I mean, even the most important question is probably how and where from should we start? How do you start actually searching for your literature review? That's really always a big question. And as we have said, let us think together how we might do that. But first, I would just go a little bit back and kind of talk for a minute about a literature review. What is actually a good literature review? As all of you know, I guess these two sentences are describing it quite well. It is a synthesis, analysis, and interpretation of the relevant published work. And here are two things. First of all, it's published, and it might be a lot published in your area. So you have to be, should I say, smart and cautious, because you do not want to read everything what has been written around your or in your research area. You are trying actually to find really the most relevant sources, the most relevant, let's say, journal papers you would like to include. And additionally, what are we trying to say is actually that we are not just bringing something which has been published, but we are bringing just the things actually which are linked to your own purpose and rationale of the thesis. Another thing which is really important. So you have to find the things which will be actually supporting what you are trying to do. And finally, as we have said, what you will be discussing towards the end after you have actually obtained your results. And it is kind of a critical discussion. So it is not just simply listing what has been actually published. It is actually serving, as we have said, your purpose and rationale. Don't forget that. So it is a critical review analysis of the relevant existing literature. And based on that, actually your supervisors as well as the examiners will be understanding that you have a good insight and awareness actually of the literature from your research area about your topic. So if, I'll use this picture now where we will be trying to actually to explain what do I mean with that. If you are trying to introduce a concept one or your variable or dependent, independent variable, your construct, it doesn't matter what you are trying actually to bring in order to make it, let's say, and justify it. You will definitely need to find some key resources. And definitely you will need actually some additional resources which will be supporting this your key resource. And some of them which will be supporting actually your additional, let's say, resources. And don't forget, we said here, you have to bring differing arguments in there as well. So you should not just bring actually the resources which are supporting your ideas, because many times whenever we are actually searching, you will find on some contradicting actually arguments, and you have to bring those contradicting arguments as well into your literature review. And sometimes even, let's say, they will bring you to your research questions and maybe to your research gaps or something like that. Anyway, so you have to understand a broad area of the published work which is available in your research area. So that is why it is really important that we know what should we include and that we are not trying to include everything what is, let's say, available in different journal papers. As I said, if you do have any questions, just please come in and let us discuss it. I don't want to have it as a
I actually have one at the chat.
Sure.
If we accept we are only moving the needle in a given subject, then should we not be reading the latest thinking in the better journals to analyze and then layer and reconcile your expertise for a new thought? I will post it at the chat for everybody, okay?
Okay, yeah, just do that. I guess I will talk about that in a few minutes. So if I was not, let's say, answering this question, just repeat it once again, please, okay, towards the end. I'm trying to do that. Okay,
thank you.
Thanks, sure. But yeah, I do agree. I mean, the answer is in a way, yes, and I hope I will explain that not in a detail, but give an overview about that. So the question is always, where do we start from searching for our sources? I mean, I guess it's quite clear that all of you will have a problem statement. That's probably the first step, because with that you usually start. You have a problem you would like to solve, or you have a question, or you have an issue you would like to solve within your PhD or DBA, or whatever actually you are doing. So the first is the problem statement. But then, based on the problem statement, in most of the cases, you will have an initial, and that goes a little bit in the direction of the question. You start with something, okay? And based on your reading, based on your understanding, you will be kind of evolving everything, and things will be developing, evolving. And definitely, as it was asked in the in the question, you will get more and more knowledge, and that's why you will be able to better deal with your, let's say, topic. But we start usually with a problem statement. That's the starting point. The next one will be a draft, should I say, research question or research statement. And I'll go deeper onto that, okay? Then probably you will be at one point linking, let's say, your research question with your research area. And for this research area, you might develop a nice mind map. And at one point, maybe after you have presented your literature, your research question, and you have anyway done some reading, you will be starting to develop your conceptual framework. And all those actually, let's say, elements, if you want to, are strongly linked to your literature review areas. But let me go deeper into that, just try to understand. So let us go with a simple, not as simple as one actually of my students' research questions of a PhD. So how does the interaction between the quality management, production, and maintenance support the achievement of companies' overall organizational performance? So even here, what have I actually now underlined? You have quality management, you have production, you have maintenance, and you have organizational performance. So even, you know, we usually say the research question guides anyway the whole research you are doing. But that's a kind of then the idea. We started with the problem statement. Now we are having, let's say, the first draft of the research question. And it's clear, zack, zack, zack. These are, let's say, the first areas where you will be kind of, probably interested to read the literature review. This will be actually the first step. Let us go farther. I mentioned mind map. You can then, and you will probably develop a mind map for your research. You can actually go and develop even more than just one. But in most cases, you will have, let's say, quality management as one of the starting points, or you might have actually maintenance if that's important. You will definitely have organizational performance. And those things you can kind of build into your, let's say, research. I brought now a general one. I didn't want to into detail. But if you talk about, let's say, research, you might have research topic. You have made research information, results, analysis, and so on. And you are kind of, you know, developing your mind map in your research area. And at the end, you will probably have quite many, should I go and say simply, probably keywords, which will be interesting to actually read more in that direction, but definitely not all of them. I mean, as I said, with a mind map, you will develop quite a broad thing, and then you will have to think which one are really related, linked to your topic. So that's another then step. Where can we begin in order to search for the sources for our literature review? And then the next one is the conceptual framework or theoretical framework. I have a slide afterwards, but yep. I mean, anyway, based on the research question, you know that even the draft one, the quality management should be there, the production should be there, the maintenance should be there, the organizational performance should be there. So the broad areas are definitely there. And based on the mind map, you will be then able to develop better and better your conceptual framework. And after you have your conceptual framework, and then I would say that you are there. Because in your conceptual framework, in a way, everything is there. And I'll talk about that in your next slide, in the next slide. Because your conceptual framework, first of all, as I have said before, will be evolving while you are reading you will be actually kind of growing, making your PhD more and more actually kind of valuable, more and more actually focused, seeing that actually you are contributing more and more. So that's kind of the idea. You always start with something. The more you read, actually, the more you will know. And based on that, you will developing your, let's say, conceptual framework. And once again, it is developing, it is evolving. We cannot say that the first day or the first month or whatsoever, I will find actually a clear conceptual framework and that's it. In most of the cases, not. While you are reading, while you are understanding, you will be kind of building up your conceptual framework. And even when you have it, as we have said, while you are reading, you might change different things. But for me, that is kind of the sequence how the things are usually running. You will start with a problem statement, understanding the areas you want to actually talk about. In the research question, you will go even a little bit deeper because that is then kind of really setting, in a way, the pace and the areas. Then you do your mind map. You will know so much more. And after you have started to build your framework, then, as I will show actually in a few minutes, you have it anyway, almost, done. Even though you might be actually somewhere here where you will be actually, drawing your first conceptual framework. After additional reading, then you might actually change something before you come and say, that's done, finally done. But while you are doing all those steps, while you are here evolving, you will be actually reading the literature, and that will give you, as we have said, enough argumentation, justification, support to develop your final conceptual framework. And I would say, that's how I see it, at least. And based on the quite many PhDs we have supervised, that really gives some support for this thought. After you have developed your framework, you are actually almost, as I have said there, it really actually defines so many different things. Definitely what we'll be using, and we have said, keywords are there. Based on that, you will then, and I'll talk about it, develop a research strategy. But it goes even farther. Let's say we will be talking about those things today. But with a conceptual framework, you have actually many more things, should I say. You have, in most of the cases, your theory, or even two theories, let's say. We don't have to have many theories for your PhD. 1, 2 actually would be probably enough. You even have the content of your literature review chapter and literature review with that. You have, in most of the cases, even the main headings as well as the subheadings defined by a good conceptual framework like this one here. And definitely, I mean, the research questions are, in a way, informing the conceptual framework. So that is kind of ticked as well. And based on the framework, you will be having actually hypotheses or propositions actually defined. And that is defining then the methodology. So in a way, after you have developed your framework, you are, in a way, there. You have it all, not just to search, but probably, I would say, even almost to finalize in a broader, let's say, context before you start actually with data collection. You have done it. But for that, I agree, you need actually literature and strategy, how to search for the literature you need. Is that a question, Anna? Or is that linked to the first one?
Sorry, it's linked for the to the first one.
Okay, then let us touch it at the end. Okay. Okay, so as I have said, some of the things I have already discussed now. So let us have it just once again as a, maybe if I have forgotten something. We have mentioned the link between the research question and the conceptual framework. Definitely, as we have said, research question, conceptual framework are definitely linked. And what I have mentioned, for example, this one, you have it actually really all here. You will define your theory, let's say, or maybe two theories. You will define the main areas of research. Like here, we have actually physical asset management, we have quality management in maintenance. We have mentioned here the performance. Here will be actually the performance. If you have, let's say, set overall performance, you can go into different dimensions of the performance. And here we went actually into maintenance performance, operational performance, business performance, environmental performance, social performance. And that all informs kind of the area of your literature. So that's why I mentioned before, after you have developed your conceptual framework, you are actually really there. And you will be able to clearly find and define every single area you should present, you should include into your literature review. I brought here just conceptual framework and theoretical framework. We have had a webinar just on the difference between the conceptual and theoretical framework. So maybe you can listen that webinar in order to understand those things a little bit better. But right now, from our, let's say, point of view, things are not changing. You can actually develop your conceptual framework, or you can use a theoretical framework. As we have said, majority of the things will be defined in there. So from my perspective, now for the topic of today's webinar, it doesn't matter have you developed a theoretical or conceptual framework. They will guide you really clearly in which direction you have to go in the search of your literature review. And as I have mentioned, after you have developed your all those four things we have kind of mentioned: statement, research question, framework, mind map. Based on that, you are developing your research areas, and the research areas are kind of strongly linked, let's say, to the keywords. Usually we say that the keywords are 1 or 2 levels more detailed, but are strongly linked to the research areas. And after you have developed the keywords, then you are there. But as we have said, it's not actually from the scratch or after the first 1 week or something like that, that you have all your keywords. While you will be developing your framework, you will be kind of adding probably additional keywords, and some of them might be then abandoned because you will say that is not really what I'm trying to do. Okay, so if I look, for example, at this framework, what do you see here? You see here actually asset management practices as one of the constructs. And here you see the dimensions of it: risk management, performance assessment, lifetime management, policy and strategy. All those actually are the areas you have to deal with, and you have to include them in detail into your literature review. And the same is actually with the, let's say, dependent variables or outcome, let's say, where you have, once again, several dimensions which you will have to present, as well as definitely you will have to talk about the linkages you believe are actually existing in there. So that's why, once again, I'm saying after you have developed the framework, you are almost there. Any questions so far? As I said, I don't want to be too fast and talk too much, but you are extremely calm. What does this mean?
There are no
everything.
questions at the moment, so exactly, I think we'll
Yeah,
say.
I just want to have some questions.
Well, I think we'll need to wait to the end.
Okay, just come. You definitely have developed some ideas, or you would like to comment what I have been saying. Does it make sense? Does it doesn't make sense? Just tell me. Let us discuss
I think
that,
I think it does make sense, and I like the structure of it. It makes you feel more in control already before you've even started. You know that you have this rigor to this structure to begin your exploration. You know, to test your thinking like this. Yeah.
Okay. But is there a but?
No, sorry.
Okay, not yet. Okay.
Maybe it's the Scottish accent, but there's no but.
No, I was asking just, I always want to have a but. Okay, cool, thanks. So yeah, that's how we usually think, okay? But now comes another but, okay, from my side. Do not think that you need to read everything what was kind of mentioned and while you are growing your framework, okay? Because you can simply not read everything what is out there. In each of the areas you are doing your PhDs can be written so much. I mean, has been written so much, and you really cannot read every single text of it, every single word, because that will kill you and you will never finish. So you really have to define the areas you would like to know, well, understand, and so on. And that's why we will be kind of trying to develop, based on our keywords, a good research strategy, okay? But definitely, the idea is that you have your research areas and your research and your keywords, okay? That has to be kind of defined. But as I said, it grows. Please don't see it in a way that, as I have mentioned, after the first month or after the first 2 meetings with your supervisor, you have it defined. Definitely not. It develops, as we have said before, it develops, okay? It really grows with time. But research areas and keywords will be definitely clear after you have developed your framework, definitely. So, in case you all want to develop a good research strategy, as we have said, the research areas and keywords, the starting, if you want to, are definitely or should be there. And then you have, or should, I would say, think about the type of the sources you would like to kind of, search through first. And then what databases you want to actually touch. And definitely the time frame is important. You know, sometimes the supervisors say, oh, the last 10 years or something like that. It depends in which area are you, because there are some really strong theories still. The most important theories which were developed in the 70s, so, or 60s even, maybe you will have to go back there as well. So, but anyway, you have to define the time frame. In many cases, it's not just English. Depends what you are doing. Maybe some other languages, hopefully you talk more, let's say you speak more, you can read more, will bring you additionally something, not always, but if English is your, then stick to English. And then you will probably develop some additional, let's say, parameters, or think of different other parameters which are important. But I would say those which we have mentioned right now, date will be there as well, especially in case you will be actually searching in the internet, will be part of your research strategy. So I spoke about research areas, keywords. Let us go actually and talk a little bit about the other bullet points I have kind of mentioned. Type of sources. I mean, here I have quite, should I say, maybe a clear statement or view on that. For me, I'm always suggesting my PhD students actually to mostly rely on the journal articles. We have had another webinar where we were talking about the, should we say, quality of the source of the literature we use sources. In there, I spoke quite a lot about the journal articles. If you want to listen to this one, just search for it. If you cannot find it, Anna will definitely support you in finding it. So, but for me, journal articles are the basis of every DBA or PhD. So that should be kind of, I guess, definitely done in a thorough way. In some, not in some, but many times, or in some of the topics, you will need additional, let's say, non-referred sources, which are some trade journals, magazines, and so on. Definitely, you should include that as well, but read always a little bit with caution, because some of them might be, you know, a little bit marketing material or something like that. So a little bit of caution is always actually good. Books. Books is a little bit an issue, because books are really, wow, in most of the cases, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 pages, and most of them are kind of, should I say, I don't know if I should say outdated, but many times the things are not really actually state of the art. But for the methodology, we usually use actually one or two really good books on the methodology. So I would suggest that reading for methodology purposes, it makes sense. For the others, maybe not too much. Conference proceedings are sometimes really useful because you get things which have not been really published in journal papers yet. And if you are searching for additional, let's say, ideas or maybe authors who are dealing with your topic or something like that, conference proceedings might be actually a little bit even, let's say, before, should I say, before the time, and will help you. Some of you will be using kind of government corporate reports, I don't know, World Health Organization, World Bank and stuff like that. Good stuff in there. These ones are really written in a good way and using proper methodology. So yeah, you can use them definitely as well. And don't forget on different, let's say, PhD thesis and so on, will help you sometimes to go a little bit deeper, probably to understand as well. But once again, for me, journal articles are the basis. The rest will be supporting you in order to find the sources you will be including and you will be, let's say, needing in order to justify your research topics, relationships, framework, and so on, hypothesis, research question. All of this needs actually justification. Internet, I will not go into that. I just brought it here, but really, if I said caution here with internet, is actually even a way bigger caution to be taken, because be careful what really you are reading. And very often you will see even your supervisors as well as the examiners will not be extremely happy unless this is really a special case while you are bringing, let's say, some internet sources. But in most of the cases, as I have mentioned, journal articles are there. The next bullet point was kind of databases. And we have so many databases. The next slide will show that. So your universities, most of them have actually a good, probably, library. They will actually tell you what you can find, which databases are available and stuff like that, and that you will be able to see from the library catalogs. Electronic databases, as we said, we are using that. It's not like in my time when I was running around to the library and back. I was actually photocopying. I was actually bringing those yearly issue books with me and stuff like that. Be happy that is actually past. So you really have so many electronic databases. You should, or you can able actually to search in. That's kind of another thing, which is definitely the best, and I'll talk with the next, within the next slide. That is actually what you will be mostly using. But still, you will pick 1, 2, 3 probably, which you might be using, which will be the closest to your area. And then some general texts, yeah, definitely, as I have mentioned, why not? It could be good, and maybe it will help you actually to go even a little bit deeper. You will see you will check the references, and from these references, you might find some good additional, let's say, sources which might be of interest for you as well. And Internet Clear is there, but as I said, I have also already mentioned that. So databases, there are many out there. I don't know how many you know, but for many of the, let's say, research areas, you will have more than just one database. I brought here just for the, let's say, a kind of that we can discuss about the size of it or the number of it. It's just the business databases, and maybe some more have already actually kind of been developed additionally. I would say, once again, for the majority of us, Web of Science, Scopus, I will talk now about myself, Elsevier, Springen, Emerald. Let's say that is kind of my array, should I say, where I'm searching. These are actually the ones. But as I said, if you have a specific topic, you will probably go somewhere else, and you might be actually searching in those databases as well. Depends on your topic, as I have said. But try to stick, as I have said, to good databases, which are mostly then linked to high quality journal papers. Any questions so far?
Apparently not.
Oh. Have all of them left already, or why don't they have any questions?
Oh, we are still all here.
God, okay. So databases, that's what I have mentioned. And now the next one is a little bit how you can search in the databases. Majority of you know that, but still, let me talk for 3-4 minutes about it. And it is part of the strategy, definitely. As we have said, I brought now which one? This one is an Emerald now, but you know, they are different ones. All of them are kind of similar, but as we have said, you can search actually with for your keywords actually in the entire text, let's say, of a paper. You can search just keywords which are within the title or abstract, or sometimes they have topic, or you can by topic, you can search by topic, or you can search by author, you can search by time, that means from to and stuff like that. So that's another thing what you should think of. Probably maybe for the first kind of, knowing the journal, the paper, maybe you can actually just go with the abstract. But what I do, as I said, that's the second stage. I usually go and search within the entire text, and then I go and read, let's say, the abstracts in order to see whether these ones are the ones, let's say, which might help me understanding things. So that's another thing you should actually know and understand. And as you know, it depends on, as I have here, let's say, what do I have here? Integrated reporting. And then I have added and additional keywords, which are kind of narrowing down my area, which should be then checked. Let's say the number of sources. And I have mentioned just but we have additional ones as well. So as you know, you can use as we have said, to narrow the search down. Because if you put innovation and exporting, then just the articles which are including both keywords will be shown. If you go with or, you will widen actually your research, because then each article which mentions innovation or exporting will be actually kind of in there. You can even go with not, and that is sometimes really, really useful. I know when we were searching for, let's say, keyword was culture in healthcare, but we didn't want to have that, I don't know if you know that agar stuff, so not culture where you grow microbes or something like that, because the majority of the papers was linked to that, and we didn't want to have that. So you can exclude some keywords. And then another 2 tricks with the this one, actually this sign, you will then include more stuff. Let's say if you just put export and the star, then you will have exporter, exporting, exports. You will be adding kind of the endings, which is sometimes useful as well. And for the English and USA kind of spelling, you can use a question mark, and then it will actually deal with both of them. So just a few additional, let's say, hints how you can actually do that in order to make it better. Okay, that was a little bit about.
Here I need to jump to tell something, Bostjan. I wish I knew these 2 tricks with the asterisk and the question mark when I was in my research. See, someone.
I'm so sorry. See? Next time you should follow all my for your next PhD, Anna. Okay.
Exactly. For the next one, I'll take that into consideration.
We'll do it together. Cool. So some things which are really sometimes helpful. Okay, that was about the general part, how to search for sources. And the next one, which is for me really, really important, and that is where my students, in a way, should I say, do not like me too much, not just for that, but generally, is because we always say we have to really do something what is novel, a contribution, what is unique. So how can we do that based, let's say, on the literature review search or using the search machines? That's another area which is, I guess, extremely important in the beginning. Okay, while you are developing your research question, while you are developing your framework, you should know that. Because as we have said, we are not happy that we are repeating something or doing something which is really not new. So how can we see that using our keywords, that finally our thesis will be leading to something, as we have said, new, novel, unique? Does anybody know that? Has anybody already done it? Has somebody an unpleasant supervisor like I have been? Because that's, for me, one of the most important things, that we assess that what we are trying to do is really, as we have said, novel, unique, new. Have you thought of this?
I don't think you can think about it until you have done enough reading, because in the beginning, you're just thinking about something that might be of interest to you, and is there a connection or not? And as you say, it's not until you've gone through a lot of reading and discussion with your supervisor even that you begin to understand whether this is same old, somebody's been there, done it, wearing the t-shirt or not.
I agree with you, Ellen. But as I said, you cannot read everything.
No, that's true.
So don't forget that. So that's why this idea, what I'm talking right now about, is that it probably helps you a little bit, that you are not going somewhere where a lot has been already done. So that's another kind of, let's say, hint in order the direction how you can actually maybe a little bit faster find what is really unique and novel, and then maybe focus a little bit more in this direction. Okay,
okay,
that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay.
And what it's a simple thing. It's done in 5 minutes, okay? At one point, when you have all of it, and you know, as you have said, I agree with you a little bit more. I mean, you have to have a picture, and you have to be close, let's say, to your framework, at least building up your framework. It goes simply with the hits. So how often a combination of keywords will actually find journal papers? How many actually count of hits? As simple as that. And that goes in a way, once again, back what I have shown before. That was integrated reporting. If I go just with the integrated reporting, that's my only keyword. Can you see? I don't know if you can read here, but it says 123,000 hits. That means you have theoretically to read 123,000 actually sources. Definitely we don't want to do that. I mean, here you have kind of, as you can see, the content type, it says you a little bit more. It says articles, which are still 101,000, and then you have here books, which are 15,000, and so on, okay? But still, definitely way too much. Even you can actually select, as we have said, for the time period, if you want to, from which year to which year and stuff like that. But even, it says here, last week, 799. So no go, you cannot do that, okay? And most of it is not of interest for you anyway, because it goes into another direction. So just integrated reporting, you will never finish, even reading, forget actually completing your PhD. So it does not work. So as we have said, we have to add additional keywords. And usually we go with our end, what we have discussed before. And let's say in this case, while the student was developing her conceptual model, she was reading and thinking, actually, okay? And then adding different keywords. And as you can see, after she had included quite many keywords, which were for her of interest, she came down to 78 papers. And that is definitely doable, especially if you think here, if we talk about that, you can see that articles are just 37. And then you have part of books, probably book chapters, you have 23 and something like that. So not an issue anymore. That's kind of the idea, that you are, let's say, should I say, sizing down the number of the papers you have to read. And at the same time, you are showing something which is really important. That is what I mentioned before, that you are trying to show with that the novelty and uniqueness of your research topic, a narrow now research topic, okay? And usually, as I have mentioned here, it's just actually kind of an example how it theoretically does go. With one keyword, you will have really more. I mean, not more, way too many. The more actually keywords you are giving in a combinations which haven't been done, then you will actually end up at one point, maybe even theoretically with 0. But that's not the most important part, that you are ending up with 0, though I have had 3-4 PhDs where we really actually ended out with 0. And that's kind of another idea which I was trying to tell you, where you can include it into your strategy, that you are really not reading too much. I mean, you know, we always had this discussion. Unfortunately, I would say fortunately or unfortunately, Andreas is not here. He's always actually kind of fighting with me regarding reading, because I always say the students have to read a lot. But I do definitely agree, and I hope I have shown that today. It is a focused reading. Don't read everything. Develop really a good strategy, and then really read the things which will be the most useful actually for you to be able to justify your topic, your, as we said, relationships, your hypothesis, your research question, and so on. And I guess that was my last slide, if I'm not mistaken. Yep.
Exactly. And I
So
posted
now
some questions in the meantime. So exactly, for our next webinar on building up your thesis with mirroring, that exactly will be more or less in a month from now, so 13th of May, and you are always invited to exactly join the next session.
But now, first, as we have said, we have our
Questions,
discussion and questions.
exactly.
So whatever we have mentioned or anything else, just please come.
Bostjan, you have
That's
some
the
questions
questions.
actually at the chat room. I have to.
Yeah, so the first one was.
The first one was exactly, if we scroll up, if we said we are only moving the needle in a given subject. Do you manage to get that one?
Yeah, if we need a... Yeah, I hope, as I said, I hope I have in a way answered that question. I don't know if that was not clear enough. Maybe actually, I don't know who asked this question, but maybe it could be another question.
There's something wrong on the chat today because all the questions are being directed to me for some reason.
Okay.
So that's
okay, because you have two. I don't know why. I see. I can even not select anybody else as well. I would be able to.
Then I need to check what went wrong with Zoom exactly, because that's not common.
Probably, yeah.
No, exactly. You have those two.
I don't know if I have answered this question. I mean, I don't know who asked that, but if not, please just come with additional question.
No, it was answered. I did say it was answered. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
So then we have exactly, doesn't have a real novel unique idea also mean that there isn't a lot of material for the review?
I guess the first two were actually kind of answered, at least. But what's that? Yes, but I'm expecting the response to question hypothesis, or was it that?
No, that was exactly when you were doing the this last exercise of how unique you combined the keywords basically. Okay. So how could you assess the uniqueness of and the novelty of the topic?
See, I mean, yeah, but as I said, I mean, you know, how should I say, the more you are novel, theoretically, the less you will have to read. I mean, that's not kind of directly linked, okay? But because you will have to show that those linkages, or let's say the combination of your keywords, will have actually enough justification in the literature. Because you will have to justify, as I have said, you have to justify your research question. You have to justify your framework. You will have to, anyway, start your research, your literature review with theoretical underpinning. That's usually a theory. You will have to show actually that your hypothesis makes sense and stuff like that. But you are bringing actually definitely something novel.
So the other one, but doesn't having a real novel, unique idea also mean that there isn't.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned right now, that there isn't a lot of material for
what exactly?
That's what I said, because you will have to justify, you know, what I have just mentioned. But in a new way, probably, hopefully, trying to justify why you think that these linkages, let's say, or these hypotheses might be confirmed. No, You see, with this
Not what? Is
disconnected,
there an argument to reverse engineer?
with disconnected material, you know, yeah, if you see the linkage, theoretically, yes, but you will have to justify that. Sometimes we even say to our students, has happened many times, that we said, okay, now for the justification, let's say, or for the discussion of your results, you will have to go somewhere else in another, let's say, research even area, and you will have to bring, let's say, some now sociology in there or something like that. Has happened because the results have shown something what was not expected, and in order to explain that, additional literature review had to be done in order to be able to explain that. But no, I'm not kind of in favor of disconnected materials and stuff like that, unless, as I said, you are in a way able to see that and bring that together. And conference. I mean, see, how should I say? In a way, you always are using kind of reverse engineering, because you are reading a literature, you are following probably the same or the same authors which have done that. So in a way, you are using, let's say, from the more new publications. Doesn't matter, is now journal publication or is it conference, and then you are trying actually to construct something new. But how should I say? I'm not really in, you know, the other way of doing that, maybe what you have mentioned is that you go and read, let's say, the sections of the future research in journal papers, and you are trying to see what authors, especially in good journal papers, in good journals, have mentioned that it could be done as well. So that's another way how you can, in a way, find the topic, as you mentioned, you said hot topic, okay, which can be done in as a new contribution. It can be actually then developed in a research project for your PhD. That is okay. I agree with that. But I mean, how should I say? For me, the most important part while you start doing your PhD is that you are with your emotions there, okay? That you are really interested in that area. This one I see rather that somebody is searching for something hot and new, hasn't been done, and then tries to bring that actually as a research project. That works often in let's say at the level of university research groups. But that purpose is usually that they bring something new and are able to publish that. But in the case of a PhD, you will be actually part of this research for a few years, okay? And that is what I usually say, find something which is really of your interest. Find something what you would really like to know, do, and so on. Because if you find, let's say, from this reverse engineering a topic which might be really interesting, yeah, it probably will be novel. It might be actually really a good contribution, but ask yourself first, is that me? Do you see yourself in that topic or not? Because if you don't, I usually say, don't touch it. I don't know if I answered the question in a proper direction. I hope I did not kill some good intentions, but that's how I see it. if I haven't, guys, answered the question.
I just posted exactly that feedback, and let me perhaps switch off the recording, because since
Sure.
Zoom played some tricks today, that people can exactly freely switch on the mics and cameras if they
Okay,
wish.
sure.
Okay.
Sure.